Let's make a clay daisy. You're going to roll out some really thin coils, a little bit thinner, about the size of a pencil, a little bit thinner. Cut them into about 1-inch pieces. What I'm not showing you is that you should rest a wet paper towel over them while they're laying there, because if these dry out, they're hard to work with. Use a paper towel to roll them flat. Keep them a little thicker than you think, because they do break easily. Take a 3/4 inch sphere about the size of your thumbnail and tap it to give it a flat top. This is the center of your daisy. You're going to use a toothpick or a pencil to give it a nice fuzzy looking texture on the top and along the little top sides. Take your clay daisies, and after you've rolled them flat, you're going to score a little line down the middle and then smooth it with your fingers so it doesn't have ugly burrs on it. Remember that these daisy petals should be resting with a wet paper towel over them, unlike what you're seeing in the video. Otherwise, they might break later. You can score a little line in using your butter knife as well, and then later you have to come back with your finger and smooth them out. Now I'm going to score around the side of my daisy center. I'm going to score, and I'll be applying slip. This is where your daisy petals are going to attach. Smooth it out. Details count. Apply your daisy petals with very light pressure, just enough to stick, and line them up so they're all the same height. The bottom of the daisy petal doesn't matter, the top does. I'm going to integrate my clay using my butter knife or my wooden smoothing tool. Now I'm going to add petals, and remember, the height all has to be the same. Here I am lining up the height. And then integrate that clay petal. Remember, you've applied slip a little earlier to the center of the daisy. Keep lining those petals up, always matching the height. After you've gone all the way around on your daisy, you're going to add one more layer of petals. And that layer of petals is going to go in between each of the first layer. This is important because it's going to make your daisy stronger. Plus, it will look better. Now I'm going to start to pinch the base of the daisy, and that's going to start to integrate the clay pieces. And I can start to really gently splay out these daisy petals. Now remember, it was important to keep your daisy petals under a wet paper towel, so at this point they're not snapping in half. And you can see on half of this daisy I used double petals here on the top. That looks good. On the bottom I used single petals, and it looks a little sparse, and I also found that it was weaker. Here you're seeing a total of 12 petals, and I think I would maybe make about 14 or 15. Now I'm going to start to break the base off using that pencil, and I tuck the clay in and I pinch it to make it a tight fit, and I can pop the daisy off and make sure the bottom looks pretty, but keep that hole. Definitely keep the hole, because you're going to put a piece of wire in there after it gets done firing. The wire would melt inside of the kiln, but once it's out, I can put a wire inside the top of the daisy. Make a little rough clay bowl to store your flowers in and line it with a paper towel. To make a leaf, you're going to take a 3/4 inch sphere of clay. Give it a little bit of a tear shape daisy flowers have a little different shape than the rose or the tulip. A little bit of a teardrop shape. Using a paper towel, I will roll this teardrop shape, and after it's flattened out, I'll go ahead and add my veins, much like the rose technique. And then I'm going to take a butter knife and make a ragged edge along that flower petal. It doesn't need to be perfect, it just wants to look organic. It can look a little ragged. I'm going to gently pinch it into a little bit of a form. Pinch it a little bit along the vein, bend the edges back a little bit, smooth it out. And you can dry it with your daisy in the bowl that's been lined with a paper towel. Just let it dry. Here is our daisy, our tulip, and our rose getting ready to be fired.